Podcast. This is our first iteration of the real estate podcast that me and Jacob are doing. What's up,
What's
man?
up, baby? How y'all doing?
So it's a continuous recording, and we're gonna be editing out all this, but it's great. So um,
Or we
this
could
is
just not edit anything, do no cuts.
yeah. I mean, I think we got to start with the beginning, right? And what we're actually our goal here is. So our goal is to educate and enlighten real estate agents on what's happening in the market, how to become extremely successful, right? We're working hard currently to make our futures better with our families, our real estate teams, our brokerage. And we're just going to share our thoughts each week on a certain topic that could really change your future, your mindset if you're in the real estate game, or if you're an entrepreneur, right? So, what's our topic this week, Jacob?
So, I wanted to dive in, man. I heard this quote, right? Or
Hmm.
it's kind of more of a statement. You know who Alex Ramosi is, right?
Of course,
He was
founder of
talking,
School.
yeah. He was talking about what would you do if you weren't afraid, right?
Hmm.
And it kind of gave me chills. Like, when you like hear that first song or that, really gives you those chills. Like for me, I know like Adele, right?
Okay.
And thinking about that, I was thinking, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Would I start a podcast? Right? Would I put myself out there more? Would I, try to help my family more, make more money and all these different things? Right? What would I really do? Would I do more investments? Right? Or would I just be comfortable?
Yeah.
So those are kind of some of the things I was thinking, right? And to a lot of the real estate agents or the investors watching, what would they do?
Yeah, well, fear, if that's where we're going with it today. So, fear, that's a funny topic, right? Because, you know, there's fear's good, in my opinion, because without
Mm-hmm.
fear, you can't be courageous,
Exactly.
And I think really being courageous is the key step to this because it's impossible to not be afraid, in my opinion, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
he said, what would you do if you didn't have fear, right? Well, if you didn't have fear, then you'd probably be dead right now because you would make a decision that wouldn't get you in a
Yes.
good standing. I mean, think about it. You know what I
You
mean?
know, and I don't think he meant it in a way that's like, don't be fearful of anything.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have fear naturally to protect us. You go back to
Fight,
always
fight or
back,
flight,
fight
right?
or flight, survival instincts. If you see a lion in front of your face, probably gonna shit your pants.
Yeah.
you know,
Maybe.
so um, so fear is important, right? But what I see a lot, right, from our buyers, our sellers, our real estate partners, even investors we work with, they let fear stop them from achieving what they want to achieve.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, when they let things that aren't explained enough, and this is where I always say it, if you're scared of something, that usually means you don't have enough information yet,
Hmm.
right? Because information will get you to the next step. I mean, we went through wars as countries, right?
Yeah,
What was the number one most important weapon in any war, right? It's information,
yeah,
right? It's information. When you have the right information, even if you're scared, you could make the right decisions for your future, for your family, for your next step. So, as we go and see, like, hey, look, you know, being courageous is very, very important. And let's talk about real estate. Let's talk about if you're a brand new real estate agent, because being a team leader now and selling for almost 9 years, starting at 25, going through trials and tribulations from, you know, sinking all my money in real estate, doing a bankruptcy at an early age to now that I'm 30, I turned 35 this year and I own a couple of houses. My goal is to own a few more. I have a real estate team of 22 agents. We sell hundreds of houses a year. Um, I feel like you gotta take as a new real estate agent all the aspects of what can I do to put myself out there, right? You got to get the information, right? Once you get the information, I mean, even like today, right? This is our first podcast, vlogcast style video that we're doing. You could compile it and just take action, right? Most of the things in real estate, right? It's not fearful that you're going to get hurt, right? It's
Yeah.
more about fear of being judged, fear of
Yep.
not succeeding, fear of doing everything that you can and being pushed up in a corner and really not getting what you want, right? And that's okay. I mean, once you fail, you're going to be able to see what not to do, right?
It's the learning process.
It
It's a
is.
learning curve.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever learned without failing.
Exactly. So, as a new real estate agent, I know you're not brand new, but you've been in this for like almost a year now with us, right? What was the thing that you were, I guess, more fearful of when you first started that now you kind of have done a little more and you see some kind of fruits of those labors? What do you think that would be?
For me personally,
Yeah.
I think mine was a little bit different than some other people because I tried running businesses that didn't work. And I even tried real estate before, as you know.
Yeah.
I even quit and let my license lapse. So me coming back into it, it was more so I was determined. But I guess if I had a fear, the fear was failing again. And I knew for a fact I wasn't gonna let that stop me,
Yeah.
right? So I think that was my
So
biggest
what
fear.
information did you have? Right? I know you have drive and motivation, but what information did you have when you got back in it? Maybe when you first came to our office, right? And saw, obviously, shout out to the Closing City. That's our title partner. We're here at their office today.
Woo.
Love those guys. They're amazing. If you need great title services in Orlando or Tampa or all the Central Florida area, let them know. But what was it, like I said again, what was it that you got when you came here? And outside of your determination, because I know you're a very determined guy and you really had that motivation to succeed, what information did you get that you made you feel a little more courageous, right? A little more comfortable to kind of go in there and not failing again, right? You know, if that was your main fear.
Right. And in regards to joining the team,
I would just say real estate in general, maybe joining the team. What was it for you? Like what
for
information?
me, it was more so knowing I had partners who were willing to help.
Okay.
Right. That was really the information because, and you know, right, we talk all the time. We have a few other the team leads. I talk and I annoy them all the time. Right. So for me, that was all the information I needed to know that I had people who actually had my back. Right. Also, seeing how you guys get your leads and all that stuff, a little bit different from what I was traditionally taught at some other brokerages. I won't say no names, but you know, seeing
He could say the names. He was at Keller Williams. He was a, no
You
hate
know.
to all brokers out there. Everybody has different models. And what I say is, you could succeed at everything that's meant for you. If it's not meant for you, find something that's meant for you. But anyways,
Yeah. Well, like you said, I was at these other brokerages. I would get burnt out a lot because they just wanted me to pound the phone, keep cold calling, right? Being here, I've learned it's not really about, obviously the amount of people you talk to will affect the amount of sales you make.
Of course.
But what would affect the amount of sales you make even more is building the relationship with people. And that's something that before I was never taught, right? Was how to talk to these people and be there for them. Everyone says treat your clients as family, but what does that really mean?
I know. I know.
That's the hard part that nobody tells you, bro.
Yeah.
So
Well, I say this to all the agents that come into business. Hey, look, getting leads and getting opportunities and building your database is probably the number one most important thing that you could do.
yeah,
Right? It is the most important thing you could do because if you don't do that, then you're not going to get business, right? Like, let's take an example. New real estate agent comes in, builds a database of 500 people, right? An expert negotiator that knows how to treat somebody like family builds a database of 10 people. I still almost guarantee that person that's new, that
It's
really doesn't
500.
know, right, is going to have a little more business, but they're going to suffer a little more because it's going to be more difficult. They're going
Yep.
to have more cancellations. They're
Yep.
not going to know what to do. They're going to feel overwhelmed,
Yep.
right? So it's really a two-part process, right? You want to be an expert marketer, but you also want to understand how to communicate and sell to people using the right sales skills and really caring about them, right? I tell my agents all the time, right? If that was your family member that called and requested a tour or was on the other line, would you stop calling them in a day, right? After you got that person's contact? If they were your family member? No, because you
No.
cared about your family,
Yeah.
right? So you got to almost care about these people like your family because when you are generating these contacts, right, you can't be afraid that they're going to judge you. You can't be afraid that they're not going to like you phoning them because if you are, then you're not going to have any progress. But really, like he said, it's kind of really important to find um, a family or a mentor, whether that be online or in person, that kind of gives you some guidance on how to communicate with people, but not only communicate with people, also how to generate more business, you
Yeah.
know? So I'm really liking where this conversation's going. I started real estate back in 2017. The market was completely different, right? I
Yeah.
remember when I started real estate, it was funny, right? It was people are calling today's market a buyer's market, but they have no idea. When I started real estate in 2017, it was like every single house had to include closing costs. Every single house, just to sell it, right?
Yeah.
Every single house, right? Buyers had like 50 options, and we would have to go see at minimum 30 houses to go sell a buyer a house. And sellers, their houses, we would tell them like the average days to sell a house was a year. We were getting year listing contracts all the freaking time because that's what it was in that market. COVID changed that completely, right? It became a
Yeah.
seller's market.
It got
Now it's
crazy.
still a seller's market. If you really look at the statistics and seeing, how many houses are selling, what our inventory's like, and that's area specific, right? We're here in
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida. It's still a good time to sell your house if you're looking to list it, if you're looking to sell it. Getting top dollar in today's market. It's not like getting top dollar in the COVID market. They were giving
Mhm.
overpriced
Yeah.
sales. But again, you could still get top dollar. We're getting listings left and right.
So here's something that we get a lot from our sellers,
Hmm.
right? So asking us about the market is right now, the right time to sell. I want to ask you, right, with you being going through multiple markets, right,
Hmm.
experiencing a lot, you know, do you ever think there's a wrong time to sell? Or do you think it comes more to what strategy you use depending on the market you're in currently?
Well, it really depends on the individual and their situation,
Okay.
right? What is their financial goals? What are they doing with the market? For me, it's the wrong time to sell, right? Because I want to keep my properties as investments.
Okay.
Right? I could take the money out right now and have hundreds of thousands of dollars and sell my properties if I wanted to.
Mhm.
But my strategy is a long-term goal, right?
Yeah.
If you're, you know, like me with that, you could even take your primary residence and turn it into something like that. We have a buyer that's doing that. And I told him, look, what's
Hmm.
your goal, right? Do you want to get this money? Do you need the money? Right? He said, potentially I need the money, potentially I don't, right? They're buying a brand new construction house. So we have about 6 months and they could either sell or
Right.
rent it,
Yep.
right? But is it a bad time to sell? No, it's never a bad time, right?
Hmm.
So here's the thing that you said, is it good or bad? Well, maybe it's good, maybe it's not, but it's never a bad time,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Never a bad time to sell.
So then, how does and I know you spoke on the goals. Can you give some examples, right, that kind of like dictate people, or even better yet, what is the thought process and framework that somebody should be in and moving through to figure out what's the right choice for them?
Well, they got to assess their life. They have certain situations where, hey, look, what type of property is it? Is it their primary residence that they're moving out of?
Hmm.
Is it a property they inherited? So
Okay.
there's so many different choices here that, somebody could make. But the framework is really, hey, look, do I have an expert advisor
Hmm.
that's, if I decide to sell, going to give me the most money? That's not here to just make money from me, but to talk about what my options are,
Hmm.
right? Because there's a lot of agents out there that no matter what, yes, I say it's never a bad time to sell, but I'm never going to force a seller to tell them they have to sell right now. That's what the difference between an expert advisor is and
Hmm.
just a real estate agent that cares about their own money,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So um, the mindset you have to be in first is just to understand, hey, with the money in my property, right? If you even have equity, because there's sellers right now that don't have any equity,
We've seen sellers. I
right?
mean, I just did a deal with one of our other partners where the seller brought money to close, and you even
Yeah.
told me you had one like that
Yeah,
recently.
I had a seller that had to bring some money to close because they bought it at the height of the market in COVID. And unfortunately, in the short term rental market, if you bought at that wrong time, he paid a little overpriced,
Yeah.
even outbid another person over the appraisal. So look, it happened, right? He
Yeah.
had to bring a little bit of cash so he could offload that property and move his, finances other places because his rental wasn't getting enough. I mean, you know, at that price, it was bad,
Yeah.
right? The person that acquired it right now, if you're in the rental market, if you acquire it at the right price, you could still make money, right? You
Yeah.
just have to know how to leverage your dollars. So,
Yeah. I think that could kind of transition us into talking even about first time investors maybe, right? Well, where you're speaking about
hmm
the right time and pretty much the right strategy.
well, what type of investors are you talking about?
Well, for this one, somebody who wants to get a rental, let's say Airbnb.
Short-term rental.
Yeah, short-term rental.
hmm
You know, what are kind of some of the things that they should be thinking about before they buy a property?
Well, first, you want to be able to cover your mortgage if you don't rent it at all,
Okay.
right? So you want to be able to cover your mortgage. Now, that's the safe route,
Hmm.
and understanding your mortgage options. If you're a first-time investor, usually you're going to be mortgaging and leveraging money because buying it cash, unless, you won a lottery or you did something, that you have a lot of money. Those are first time investors too, right? That have a
Yeah.
lot of cash, but it's usually more like the leveraging. So you want to understand the loan process, understand how much it's going to cost you to leverage, and find a right agent that understands the market, because the market is what's going to determine the value, right? We have a partner that does short-term rental management. That's all they do. They provide numbers,
Yep.
and our job as expert advisors is to go and identify the properties that we could get below market value. Because when you get it below market value and you negotiate, your
Yeah.
leveraged position is better. That's like saying, hey, look,
Yeah.
Bitcoin's $50,000. If I could get somebody to sell me their $50,000 Bitcoin for
You made
$40,000,
money.
you're already leveraging in a better position, right?
Yeah.
That same thing that comes with the house. Now, Bitcoin doesn't have unless you're like doing something with the Bitcoin, but it doesn't have a cash flow option like real estate does. But there's a lot to it, being a rental manager. Um, it's if you're gonna manage your own rental, just be prepared because it's a lot more
Yeah.
than first time investors think.
Hmm.
Having a property manager is very important, and adjusting your finances for having a property manager is very important. I would say this: if you are a first time investor, don't expect a lot of cash flow from it, right? This is building your portfolio, building your equity, so you could eventually have a couple more and then get more cash flow. It's a long-term game when you're doing the short-term rentals.
Yeah.
It's not even, you're not going to bank a ton of money because things happen. You have to account for things because people are in and out of your house. A lot of repairs. You're paying for all
Yeah.
the toilet paper and the electricity and the, cleanings and everything, right? So yeah, maybe you it looks, oh wow, you're renting it out for 500, 300, $200 a day, and you're rented, but there's a lot of expenses that come with it,
Yeah.
so you definitely could leverage cash flow. You definitely could get that going. I love short-term rentals, but you got to be with the right person that gets you the money, the right leverage in the very beginning, and you have to go into the mindset of not being afraid, right? Being a little courageous, that who you work with you trust, and the property manager you work with you trust, that could get the things done that need to be
Which
done.
is very important, right? Like you're saying, having that expert. What are some things, right, that one could help realtors that they could kind of figure out and grow from to become that expert advisor? And what are some things, whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, to look for into a realtor that could help them out?
Well, numbers, right? Hey, honestly, investors, even real estate, when it comes down to it, is numbers. And what do I mean by that? You got to know the numbers of the houses, the cost of the houses, the areas that short-term rentals apply and do really well. If you're a new realtor, you should be going to look at 3 different sources. Your MLS, right?
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna find houses. There's a couple sites called AirDNA and Rabu. Those are the other 2. They're like Zillow for short-term rentals to get information and projections and numbers. And then 4, get a really good property management company that you like,
Yeah.
right? Because they're gonna help you
Some of them will
figure
even
out those
tell you
numbers.
everything up front on how to, format it, and they'll even do the formatting for you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we do now, right? You could obviously look this up and become knowledgeable about it yourselves,
Yep.
right? That's why I ended up getting my loan officer's license after 5 years in real estate, because I was like, I needed to become more knowledgeable, right? And I got more knowledge, and then after a couple of years of having the license, I actually started doing the loans, right? So
Yep.
now I'm doing the loans as a mortgage loan officer and understanding this. So now I'm like all in-house, understanding everything that one of our buyers might need to be super successful in their goals, whether it be live in the property or invest in the property. So if you're a new realtor, definitely get your right partners, go to your resources, understand the numbers. And once you understand the numbers, then you could kind of guide your client into the right decision-making process. I see a lot of new realtors when the person goes, hey, I want to see this, I want to see that. They're pulling them along because
Yeah, and
they
they're
see
getting
pictures of a place that they like and thinks it looks nice without
ever
really
talking about the goals.
understanding, what they're doing with this,
Yeah.
So
And I think that's something that we should even talk about for new realtors is, how much time do we have? Do you know?
we'll probably have like 5
5 minutes.
minutes.
So for
Yeah.
the next 5 minutes, let's do this. For new realtors, right, going into, you just got a brand new buyer. They're showing you all these listings that they've seen from Zillow, or even some of the ones that you've sent them. They like them, right? And they're kind of all over the place, right? How are we bringing these people to identify their goals, right? Because, as a realtor, sometimes you do want to go out there and show them a ton of homes if it makes sense. If they're new to the area, they don't know anything about the area. Or if you could figure out what they really need and want in a home and their location, then you dive deep in that location. So
I mean, you just answered the question, right? You got to understand the person you're dealing with, right? So,
yeah,
you got to ask those things. And I always say it, right? It's the who, right? It starts with the who,
who?
right? It's the W's, right? Who are you dealing with, right?
Okay.
Before you even find out about their goals, find out about who that person is,
What do they
right?
do for work,
Like,
recreation?
like I said, if it was your sister selling, you would know who she is, right?
And you'll be able to advise her better
Exactly.
than somebody else.
Right? So if you understand the person, right, with their family, where they came from, where they currently live, what they like to do, you
Yeah.
know, you go start with who, then you start forming a bond and a connection, right?
Yeah. Automatically.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Without even trying.
Exactly. So that's where you start, right? You really want to find out who before you even get into the what, where, when, right?
Yep.
But next, that is next. The what, where, when, right? Because when you find out what, right? Investment, primary residence, right? You got those two brackets, right? Let's say primary residence. You know, I found out a little bit about who, so I know if you had 5 kids, you probably don't want a
Oh, 3-bedroom,
three-bedroom
2
house,
bath. Yeah.
right? You know. Now let's say if we go into what and we figure out we can't afford, right? You know, a 5-bedroom. Maybe they have to sacrifice if they want
The
to buy
5.
a house,
You know,
right?
it'd be in an area that's maybe a little further out.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't have as much.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So, I mean, I know that people will sacrifice for their future if they're willing to do so.
Yeah.
Right? And we've had buyers that's like that where children have to share rooms for their future to be better.
Yeah.
Right? You know, because what is rent, right, on primary residence is 100% interest right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You pay 100% interest. You never get any of your money back ever. If you were renting for 10 years, right, at $2,000, right, a month. That's
$24K times 10.
Yeah.
$240,000.
$240,000 into somebody else's equity, into somebody else's pocket. Imagine you paying that on your own mortgage for 10 years. In 10 years, you'll have that.
I would love to get a renter for 10
plus, well, you'll have multiple renters, right?
Uh-huh.
You know. So let's go back into
and that doesn't necessarily mean renting's wrong. It just
No, it
doesn't
doesn't.
mean that renting always is the right option.
Yeah.
And so I just don't want to discourage people like they're renting now and you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're a renter, it's okay. I rented for years and years until I was
Yep.
able to buy. But when you're able to buy, right, then it's probably a good idea to purchase, even if you're like not knowing the area well.
Yep.
But if you have an investor mindset, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's that's why you got to figure out who, right?
Yeah.
What they want, right? Where they want it, and
Why.
when. Why is going to be
Is it gonna
why encompasses all those,
Yeah.
right? So once you have your who, what, where, when, the why, it shows itself.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't really focus on the why until you figure out the rest. You know, the why is your tool as a realtor to keep them into the transaction.
Yeah.
Because you just got all this information. They didn't tell you why they wanted to buy a house, and you don't straight up just ask them
Why do you want to buy a house?
Why they want to buy a house. They're gonna because I want to buy a house,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what
they
I
might
mean?
be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
and I know when I first started out, because I didn't know how to lead the conversation properly, I would ask people straight up, hey, why do you want to buy a house? Well, hey, Sherlock, because I don't want to keep renting.
Yeah, I want to live somewhere.
So, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very important.
So, you know, and the bonus here is the how. Being the expert advisor, right?
Exactly.
You know, understanding the process from start to finish. How do we do this? How do we lead and educate people and guide them through their fears, right? Going back to the subject today, because all buyers and sellers are going to have fears, right? With the right information, we don't eliminate their fears. We just create courageous moments for people to make decisions, right? With the right information. And if we have that, we're going to be able to take anybody that is willing to
coachable,
is willing to work
Yeah.
with us, whether it be a real estate agent, buyer, seller, investor, anybody,
Yeah.
and get them over to the finish line and be there for them throughout the entire process. And that is because we really care about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we had more time. I know we're wrapping
I know,
up.
dude. This was our first little talk.
It was fun.
I had fun. I
Yeah.
mean, I could talk like this.
So-
You know, we're gonna go to the team meeting and we're gonna talk today. But
If we have a lot of talking to do today.
dude, let's see how this comes out. We're
I
gonna
think
keep
it's gonna
going.
come out good.
We're just gonna post this,
So-
guys. If you watch it, you watch it. Give us a thumbs up, like it,
Subscribe,
help us
everything.
figure out a name. Even I mean, right now it's just gonna be Miguel and Jacob podcast until we figure it out.
A
Right?
cooler name, right?
Yeah.
So I also want to say we're also going to be linking down more information down below, whether it's Instagram, social medias, because we're only going to be doing this once a week. If you guys want to get more information, get very educated on the market, how to move forward, how to be courageous, how to conquer your fears, we're going to be posting every single day on different platforms. So follow us everywhere, right? So you can keep learning and growing with us.
Awesome. See you guys soon.